Bad news for the 49ers. I use the word bad twice in front of news is because we got a double dosage of it today. No Brock Purdy, no Nick Bosa. Both stars have been ruled out of 49ers Packers before the 49ers take off to Appleton, Wisconsin in just a few minutes. I'm at the team facility. I was out at practice. Obviously, Nick Bosa and Brock Purdy were not on the practice field. Neither was Trent Williams. That's going to be a game time decision for San Francisco with the ankle injury. But the big news right now is obviously the status of Brock Purdy, who was managing his shoulder this week until it went awry. And it went awry while we were watching at practice yesterday. Purdy did not throw on Wednesday. He did throw during warm-ups on Thursday, but the shoulder was not feeling well. Dustin Little, the 49ers head trainer, was seen rubbing Purdy's shoulder, and then Purdy exited to the weight room, continued his rehab, and today the decision was finalized. He will not play against Green Bay in this ultra-important game for the 49ers. Consider what's at stake. With a win for the 49ers, they're going to have over a 50% chance to make the playoffs. But a loss, which is now much likelier since both Purdy and Bosa have been ruled out, they only have a 15% chance to make the playoffs. So this is a massive game. And now the 49ers, when we talk about what they're going to try to do strategically moving forward, they're going to try to scrap and claw with what they have. That's all they can do to see what can happen in Green Bay. The Packers opened up as very slight favorites over the 49ers. The last I checked, that had grown to 3.5 points. That's a huge move of the betting line, and it reflects the fact that both Brock Purdy and Nick Bosa are out, and it especially reflects the fact that Brock Purdy is not going to be available to play in this football game. Brandon Allen is going to be the 49ers starter. He has made 9 career starts. He has played really well in 3 of those 9 starts. So I think that you look at that just as a rudimentary way to set expectations for how Brandon Allen is going to perform in this game. Green Bay has the number 10 defense in expected points added per play on the season, but they've been number 29 over the past 3 games. So the Packers, some injuries, just some poor play, have not played good defense as of late. And I think it is worth noting that Brandon Allen has played his best games against worse defenses. Against the Browns, number 22 defense in 2019, he had a 125.6 rating. Against the Texans defense, they were the number 31 defense in 2020. That was Brandon Allen's best career game, 371 yards, 2 touchdowns, a 126.5 rating. So both of those games came against worse defenses. He also had a 99 rating, which is solid against the Cowboys in 2020. That was the number 21 defense. So I think a lot of this probably depends on which Green Bay Packers defense shows up on Sunday. If it's the number 10 overall defense, which that's what they're ranked, then it's going to be really tough sledding for the 49ers. But if Green Bay shows up with the type of defense that has struggled, at, like I said, at number 29 over the past 3 games, then the 49ers might have a little bit more of an opportunity, a little bit more of a window. The line has now shifted all the way to Packers by 5.5. So that, Brock Purdy is obviously one of the most valuable players in the NFL. He was an MVP finalist quite literally last season. It goes from Packers favored by about a point, right? Maybe a 1.5 to Packers minus 5.5. Line move of 4 points is absolutely massive, but that is exactly what you would expect in this situation. Talk to Brandon Allen a little bit in the locker room. This is his opportunity. 32 years old, as I mentioned. He's made those 9 career starts. This will be his 10th start. People wondering why Brandon Allen over Josh Dobbs. Allen won the QB2 battle over Josh Dobbs during training camp. John Lynch did say on KMBR this morning, before it was announced that Brock Purdy was officially out, that Allen would get the first snaps of this game, which does leave open the possibility of Josh Dobbs also playing in this game. Allen and Dobbs are 2 very different types of quarterbacks. Allen is not going to threaten you much with his legs. Well, we saw Josh Dobbs running a lot over the course of the preseason. He's run a lot as a starter in the past against the 49ers as well. Remember the game with the Arizona Cardinals against San Francisco last year? Josh Dobbs had quite a few rushing yards in that game. So Dobbs probably gives you more upside outside the structure of the play, whereas Kyle Shanahan believes that with Brandon Allen, he's got somebody who's going to follow the structure of the play, execute what he wants at a higher level. At least that's the determination that Kyle Shanahan made after the preseason. The Green Bay Packers are not a great defense. I think that should be emphasized. I also would say that Jordan Love has been turning the ball over quite a bit. The only higher interception rates this season belong to Will Levis and Anthony Richardson. Jordan Love has thrown 11 picks in 8 games. He threw 11 picks in 17 games last year. So 4.3% interception rate is really bad, and that's been a problem for Green Bay. And I get it. The 49ers are up against it right now. Their chances aren't great, that's for sure. But if we do talk about strategy and what the 49ers can do moving forward, they're probably going to rely on some takeaways in this game if they are to find a way to upset Green Bay and move to 6-5. The difference between 6-5 and 5-6, massive in terms of the 49ers playoff probabilities. Again, a win would mean over 50%. A loss would mean probability dwindles down to 15% for San Francisco. So Love has been throwing a lot of picks. I think there's a lot of pressure on the 49ers defense to deliver some interceptions. Big problem, though, is that Nick Bosa has also been ruled out of this game. That's a big problem for San Francisco because Green Bay has a solid offensive line. They always seem to be good in pass protection. The composite pass blocking rating for Green Bay this year is number 7, right? They're number 7 in composite PFF pass block efficiency score. So it's not easy to get to Jordan Love. And without Nick Bosa, it's going to be even harder for the 49ers. They're going to have to manufacture pass rush. This is Nick Sorensen's biggest test by far. He's going to have to find a way to disguise coverages, confuse Jordan Love, get a couple greasy interceptions, as we can call them. Weather is probably going to be decent in Green Bay. Doesn't look like there's much precipitation there. Ironically, the weather in the Bay Area on Sunday might be worse than it is in Green Bay to play football. It's probably going to be raining on Sunday in the Bay Area. In Green Bay, it doesn't look like there will be precipitation, although that can obviously change. So the 49ers are going to have to earn takeaways as any takeaway that comes, I think they're going to have to earn it. It's going to be hard to get a slippery takeaway just because of weather in this football game against the Packers. The punch outs, that's going to be something that they have to try for. They have to win special teams on Sunday. In that 2021 playoff game, in the divisional playoff round, the 49ers entered Green Bay as one of the worst special teams units in the league. One of the only teams ranked below the 49ers was the Packers, and San Francisco gained something like 12 or 13 expected points on special teams in that game, and obviously we saw it turn into a victory. So there's a lot of different ways that you can look at where the 49ers can try to make up the efficiency that they will be losing with Brock Purdy and Nick Bosa. None of them are probable, so that's why the odds are stacked up against the 49ers here. But this is the NFL, and you've got to continue fighting. Nobody's going to feel sorry for you in this league, especially for a team that's had as much success as the 49ers have over the past several seasons. For the first time, I will say that this season has 2020 vibes to it because finally the 49ers are without their quarterback. They had been without so many other positions and they had dealt with so many injuries at different spots of the roster. But as long as you've got a quarterback and a really good one like Brock Purdy available, you can persevere. You can have a chance that's, at least on 50-50 footing on any given Sunday. Without Brock Purdy, the 49ers are no longer on 50-50 footing. Now they're going to have to start getting those dirty points. Now they're going to have to start finding a way through special teams, through those takeaways to get the job done. The 1995 49ers, I like bringing back historical precedent, just some examples of games that the 49ers are going to have to try to emulate, even though the odds aren't good. In 1995, the 49ers were headed to Dallas, and they didn't have Steve Young. They had to start Elvis Grbac, remember number 18, their backup in those days. Well, the 95 49ers were facing the eventual Super Bowl champion Dallas Cowboys. They were roundly predicted to lose. I think a lot of the Bay Area media didn't even make the trip to Dallas because they just figured it'd be a blowout in the Cowboys' favor. Elvis Grbac went into old Texas Stadium in Irving, Texas, and combined with some timely takeaways from the 49ers defense and some awesome play from Jerry Rice, the greatest football player of all time, 49ers jumped out to a 24-0 lead over the Cowboys, and they won 38-20. They shocked the world. And Dallas went on to win the Super Bowl that year. That season, the Green Bay Packers eliminated the 49ers. That was the first of 3 straight times the Packers would eliminate the 49ers. Young was back for that, and the 49ers lost 27-17 at Candlestick in the divisional round. But still, they went into Dallas against the best team in football with their backup quarterback, and they did win. So it is not impossible to win this type of game. I would offer that these Green Bay Packers are nowhere near as good as those Dallas Cowboys. Now, you can also say that these 49ers are nowhere near as good as the 95 49ers, and that might be a fair statement. That being said, there will still be talented players on the field for the 49ers in this game. George Kittle is going to be back. Green Bay has struggled to defend tight ends. They're number 28 DVOA against tight ends. Christian McCaffrey is back. John Lynch today on KMBR said that he's waiting for McCaffrey to explode. He thinks that a big-time Christian McCaffrey performance is coming soon. Jawan Jennings, the guy who carries 4 defenders on his back across the first down line, is playing again for the 49ers. And Deebo Samuel, who has not been all too productive this season, the pressure is on him. So, I mean, that's 4 weapons that I just listed that can do considerable damage at any given time. And the 49ers are going to be relying on those guys to get that damage done. It is up to Brandon Allen to play within himself and distribute the ball to the 49ers weapons against the Packers defense that has struggled especially over the past 3 weeks. Again, I keep on bringing that up. Number 29 over the past 3 weeks, and we've seen Brandon Allen have success against bad defenses in the past. If the Packers show up and play top 10 defense level, which is entirely possible, I get it because that's where they're ranked over the whole season. If they show up and they play better defense this week, I think the 49ers are going to have very tough sledding with Brandon Allen at QB. But if the struggles continue for Green Bay, and they barely got by last week against the Chicago Bears, who do not have a good offense at all, those struggles continue, then there will be an opening for the 49ers, especially since Jordan Love has not taken good care of the football this year. So that is the 49ers formula in this game. We had to come out with our predictions at the San Francisco Standard early this morning, and I'll have to retract my prediction. Mine was based on Brock Purdy playing. He's not playing, so I'm going to predict the 49ers to lose this game. I know we normally do will the 49ers beat the Packers video. I'll condense it into this one. No, I don't think the 49ers will beat the Packers, but I can lead you through the strategy that would be necessary for San Francisco to pull off the upset. That doesn't mean that my prediction is going to fall in line with that strategy. I think that I think maybe 2 times out of 10, the 49ers beat the Packers in this situation. Maybe 1 to 2 times out of 10, 15 to 20% of the time, they beat the Packers in this situation. And they're going to have to hope that this is one of those 15 to 20% of the time. That's as simple as it is for San Francisco as they try to move to 6-5. Because one thing I knew entering this game is that I would not pick the 49ers to beat the Bills next week, even if they have Brock Purdy. I have a lot of respect for what Buffalo has been doing. That's one of the best teams in football. And the reason that the Seattle Seahawks game was so important here at Levi's Stadium last week is because the 49ers had this 2-game gauntlet to Green Bay and Buffalo coming up, where they fly back for Thanksgiving before flying again to Buffalo, where it might be snowing next week. So it was really important for the 49ers to win that game against Seattle to protect themselves against potential catastrophe, a potential 0-2 road trip. Well, they lost against Seattle. That was catastrophic in its own right. So now they need to win at least one in this road trip. And the easier one of the two, theoretically, is this one against the Packers, since they're not as good as the Bills. But it's also one where now Brock Purdy, the 49ers' best or most important offensive player, has been ruled out. And their best defensive player, Nick Bosa, has also been ruled out. Now, we can talk about the 49ers' pass rush in this game without Bosa. He's been ruled out. Kevin Givens has also been ruled out. That's the defensive tackle. He's been out now for a while with a groin injury. That means that the starting defensive tackles are going to be Yetur Gross-Matos and Leonard Floyd. So Gross-Matos actually, in his return last week from injury, did some good stuff, including a sack of Geno Smith with a nice move against that left tackle position, Charles Cross of the Seattle Seahawks. So the 49ers are going to need Yetur to play one of his best games, if not his best game, because without Nick Bosa last week, it was a big-time struggle for San Francisco. The one thing that the 49ers might have going for them is that they didn't plan for Nick Bosa's absence last week. You couldn't plan for it. He was doing really well. He got hurt on his second sack, and then they were shell-shocked without him. This time they've had a chance to brace for no Nick Bosa. And in that event, some of the coverage schemes in the back end, Brandon Staley is going to have to dial stuff up, working with the defensive backs, working with Nick Sorensen, the defensive coordinator. They're going to have to either manufacture pressure or manufacture confusion in Jordan Love's mind. And this all goes back to Jordan Love throwing all those interceptions this year. That's what the 49ers are going to have to lean on the defensive side of the ball. We haven't heard all too much from a splash play perspective from Fred Warner in quite some time for San Francisco. Fred, early in the season, we were talking about him as a defensive player of the year candidate, an all-pro lock. I know that he struggled a little bit injury-wise for the 49ers. He did get hurt in that game where he had the pick six against the New England Patriots. But without Nick Bosa in front of him, and I think Fred is fully healthy now, it's going to be imperative for Fred Warner to head on out there and deliver big for the 49ers at the second level. Devondre Campbell playing against his former Green Bay team. He was an all-pro for the Packers back in 2021. This is a chance for Devondre, who did not leave Green Bay on good terms. He said that Green Bay misused him last year on social media. Well, this is a chance for him to make a splash play. Takeaway could change the 49ers' outlook in this game. They need to get as many turnovers as they possibly can. In the secondary, the 49ers also will not have Charvarius Ward. He had been out for 3 weeks on bereavement leave after the tragic passing of his 1-year-old daughter, Amani Joy. 3 weeks is a lot of time to miss. So 3 practices was not enough time for Charvarius Ward to get back into full playing shape, up to speed for the 49ers. So they've ruled him out. So the starting corners in this game are going to be Renardo Green and Deommodore Lenoir. The third cornerback is Isaac Yiadom. Lenoir obviously is going to move inside. The Packers have a lot of talented receivers. Tough assignment for San Francisco, especially with no Charvarius Ward in this game, and no Nick Bosa in front of them. But they're going to have to grow up quick. The backs are up against the wall for the 49ers. It has grown to a 5.5 point advantage for Green Bay in the point spread in this game, which goes to show you how much Brock Purdy and Nick Bosa have meant to the 49ers. Looking through a couple other injury updates for San Francisco, Jacob Cowing has been ruled out. Concussion protocol for him. Saw Cowing today running off on the side. He was practiced in a limited fashion on Wednesday, didn't practice on Thursday as he went through the protocol, and then started running some more sprints today. So I think he is progressing, but obviously not progressing quickly enough to play for the 49ers against the Packers. And then Trent Williams, that's going to be a last-minute decision for Trent Williams at the best for the 49ers. He played through the ankle injury last week, and that just adds to the degree of difficulty for Brandon Allen. The Packers don't have a great defense, but if Jalen Moore is playing left tackle for the 49ers, it's not like their line has been bad this year. The pass protection's actually been decent. They rank number 13 in overall pass blocking efficiency, but obviously Trent Williams is a stalwart on that line, and it will make things a whole lot more difficult for the 49ers. You might see a lot of George Kittle staying in and blocking for San Francisco. Brandon Allen is not nearly as mobile as Brock Purdy, so they're going to protect their quarterback as much as they can. You're going to have to give the playmakers opportunities within the structure of the offense, but to do that, the pocket has to be decently clean for a set period of time, and that's not going to be easy for the 49ers, regardless of who the quarterback, of who their offense, who's blocking for Brandon Allen, but it's going to be much harder if Jalen Moore is out there in front of him. So one of those situations for San Francisco where we see them in a spot where they're definitely not likely to win. And what are they going to do about it? They're going to drop to 5-6 and then essentially be playing for their season against the Buffalo Bills on Sunday Night Football with the Bills coming off their bye week, or are they going to shock the world and set it up at 6-5 to take some pressure off that game against the Bills? I think it's more likely than not that the 49ers do not prevail this week, but we also have seen crazier things happen in the NFL. I might take a couple questions if they're good. Why doesn't Mike, if you can text me some of the questions, I'll answer them right now. Mike points out that Jair Alexander, cornerback for Green Bay, and Edgerrin Cooper, their linebacker, have both been ruled out. I know Alexander has the torn PCL, So that makes Green Bay's defense a little bit weaker. The passing defense hadn't been good for the Packers over the past several weeks. Number 27, I think, in EPA and pass defense there with Alexander Ayling, and number 29 in the overall defensive rankings for the Green Bay Packers. But if you have any good questions, Mike is going to send them to me because I'm on my phone right now here at the team facility. And Mike will send those questions to me, and I will answer them accordingly before I have to head back to the city, which I believe I heard is flooding today. At least there are flood warnings, which should be fun. Trying to find parking today as the water piles up during this bomb cyclone event on the West Coast. I just find it really funny, very ironic that the weather in Green Bay is probably going to be better than the weather here in the Bay Area. How often does that happen? Are you tired of squeezing into stiff dress pants at your holiday party? Well, this season, unwrap the gift of comfort with the Game Changer pants from Public Rec. The office pants that look like Monday but feel like Sunday. Imagine clocking in while feeling as cozy as if you were still in bed. With a soft hand feel and smooth drape, these pants are fan favorites for a reason. Whether you're closing deals in the boardroom, navigating holiday travel, or mingling at company parties, the Game Changers will keep you looking sharp and feeling great. Public Rec is the ultimate men's clothing brand for blending comfort and style seamlessly. And trust me, you will not be disappointed. So stop suffering in regular pants and give the gift of comfort this holiday season. For a limited time only, our listeners get 20% off when you use the code Lombardi at checkout. That's 20% off with the code Lombardi at publicrec.com. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Give yourself or someone you love the gift of comfort this holiday. Thank you, Public Rec. They did send me some of those pants. They're nice. Margot likes them too. I mentioned that a little bit sooner, or a little bit earlier today. So go check out Public Rec, and you could use the code Lombardi at publicrec.com. 20% off, that's no joke. 49ers' chances in this game, meanwhile, well, they've taken a hit. I'm not going to say they're a joke, but they've taken a big hit. We're going to see how tough the 49ers can be on the road in Green Bay. In the past, when they've had to, I spoke about Elvis Grbac leading the 49ers to a 24-0 lead in a 38-20 win over the Dallas Cowboys in 1995. Well, the very next season, the 49ers went to Green Bay in the postseason, and Elvis Grbac was their quarterback. Steve Young was the starter, but he didn't last very long with a dislocated rib that had been misdiagnosed. Didn't go so well for the 49ers at Lambeau against the eventual Super Bowl champion Green Bay Packers. So the 49ers hope that this Elvis Grbac game / Brandon Allen game goes better against Green Bay. All right, so questions are rolling in. Why not Dobbs? Because Dobbs did not win the QB2 battle. Kyle Shanahan wants somebody that can operate the structure of the offense as efficiently as possible, and he felt that Brandon Allen operates the structure of the 49ers offense more efficiently than Josh Dobbs. If Allen struggles, the 49ers can go to Josh Dobbs. But the coach who calls the plays, who has a lot more information about all of this than any of us, has determined that Brandon Allen is the 49ers' best bet, and that's just the way that it has to be. Watching from the outside, I know that Josh Dobbs is a better runner, probably has more athletic upside than Brandon Allen, but that's not the point of this. The point of this is who's going to meld better with the play caller to give the 49ers the best possible shot at efficiency, and Kyle Shanahan has determined that that's Brandon Allen. As I did mention, 3 of his 9 starts have had a rating of 99 or above. So more often than not, he's not been efficient. He's had ratings lower than 90, but in those 33% of starts, Brandon Allen, and those have come against bad defenses or defenses ranked lower than number 22 in the EPA scale, Brandon Allen has been very good. And I think that there definitely is a chance, it might not be a high one, but there's definitely a chance that he can deliver a solid game for the 49ers against a Packers defense that is ranked near the bottom of the league over its last 3 games. And that's what the 49ers have to go to battle with, and we'll see how successful it is. Again, probability, probably not high, but that's all the 49ers can do. You have to go to battle with what you have, to strategize with what is available. Who is kick returning with Jacob Cowing out? Well, we know Ronnie Bell has been back there at times this season. We know Jordan Mason has been back there at times this season. So I would expect one of those 2 players to be back there for the 49ers. again in this game. Is the season over if the 49ers lose, is another question. It's not going to technically be over. It's not over until you're actually eliminated in the NFL, but it will have taken a massive blow. Again, the stakes here are a loss means the 49ers have about a 15% chance, 1-5, of making the playoffs. A win, over a 50% chance of making the playoffs. So this would be a tremendous gut punch to the season if they lost, but it would not be fully over. You can never say that it's fully over until it actually is for the 49ers. I'm just speaking technically. What do we know about Brock's injury? Well, we know that the 49ers aren't too concerned about the MRI results. He did undergo an MRI, but that's about all that we know so far. He was planning to ramp it up and play this week, but the throwing on Thursday did not feel good for Brock Purdy, and he obviously exited practice, went to resume rehab, and at that point things turned. We reported on that closely yesterday, so we know that things got better, but then they got worse. One piece of potentially good news for the 49ers is that Purdy is flying with the team to Green Bay. Nick Bosa, who's been ruled out as well, is not flying with the team to Green Bay. Typically, you don't send players who are injured on the flight because it's not good for the recovery process. I think the fact that Purdy is going to be on the plane with the team to LA or to Green Bay is a sign that maybe this is not a long-term thing, that they think he could be back next week. I try not to read too much into things, but it was interesting to me that Purdy will be on this flight while Nick Bosa will not, as he tries to recover from the hip and the oblique injury. I'm not going to talk about 2025 draft picks yet. Mike has a question about the 2025 draft picks. Let's let the end of this season, even if it's bitter for the 49ers, play out, because you have to live in the now. Just in life in general, I have good advice for everybody. Live in the now. Living in the past is depression. Living in the future is anxiety. Live in the now and you'll be happy. However it works. 49ers right now are just trying to fight to see another day. That's going to be the goal when they head to Green Bay to face the Packers this weekend. All right, everybody, thank you for watching. Mike asked who's starting in place for Bosa. I think I already told you guys. Yetur Gross-Matos and Leonard Floyd are going to be the two players starting at defensive end for the 49ers. Chance for San Francisco to step up. Chance for them to channel that energy that they showed against the Dallas Cowboys in 1995. I know most of the players on the team were not born at that point, but I like to bring some historical context into it. When they went into Texas Stadium, jumped up 24-0, the Cowboys turned the ball over 4 times that day. So the 49ers are going to need some takeaways, and they're going to need Brandon Allen to step up and deliver one of his best games at Lambeau Field. Everybody, thanks for watching. Stay safe in that rain out there. We will talk to you very, very soon.